Hey everyone. I was watching YouTube just now and I came across a couple of videos on this game called Moral Machine, which I have got in front of me here. And um, some of the decisions that the people in the videos made struck me as odd, and I thought it might be interesting to um, have an opposing view. And it doesn't matter who made those videos. I'm not going to do this as a reaction video. Because I'm sure they could care less about what I think about them. But I do think after having played this particular game once already, this made some interesting propositions, and yeah, so that's basically why I am gonna do this video. So let's start off by watching the intro to it. It's only 45 seconds long, so here goes.
Welcome to the Moral Machine, a platform for gathering a human perspective on moral decisions made by machine intelligence, such as self-driving cars. We show you moral dilemmas, where a driverless car must choose the lesser of two evils, such as killing two passengers or five pedestrians. As an outside observer, you judge which outcome you think is more acceptable. You can then see how your responses compare with other people. If you're feeling creative, you can also design your own scenarios for you and others to view, share, and discuss. Moral Machine is a project by the Scalable Cooperation Group at the MIT Media Lab. Help us learn how to make machines moral.
Alright, so much for that. Let's just get right into it. So here's our first scenario. We have a bunch of people over here, and we can make the car go straight, or we can have the car swerve into a wall. Now this also states that the car or that the pedestrians are jaywalking. Let's see the descriptions. So let's see. In the left-hand side, in this case, the self-driving car with sudden brake failure will continue ahead and drive through a pedestrian crossing ahead. This will result in dead. Two men, one woman, one girl. Note that the affected pedestrians are flouting the law by crossing the red signal. And in this case over here, the self-driving car with sudden brake failure will swerve and crash into a concrete barrier. This will result in dead. Two elderly men, one elderly woman, and one woman. Um, Now, right off the bat, I have a problem with this because morally, not socially, morally, I think all human life should be treated equal. Um, there is no reason for morals that to assume that one human life is worth more than another, regardless of age, regardless of sex, regardless of religion, regardless of um, color of skin, just to name a couple of examples. There should be no difference there. So it doesn't matter to me personally how many puppets are going to die. Now, what is interesting is because I personally feel that survival of the fittest, survival of the group, self-preservation are things that are important because that's what brought us here today. And as such, I always feel that the car should act in order to protect the occupants of the car. So in that sense, it should kill the pedestrians and not swerve. So I'm going to go with that option here. Now here is another scenario, and it's basically the same scenario, only this time the casualty is either a male doctor or the casualty is a female doctor. Now, like I said, sex doesn't matter. Um, what I do think is important for the car is, one, to preserve its occupants, but also to stick to the law, because um, well, apparently the doctor is jaywalking, the male doctor, but again, that's not important to the car. The car has to stick to the law, so it should try not to kill this guy. But if it does, it should at least try to not, or if that's unavoidable, it should at least try to not kill the occupants. So I'd say go for the male doctor here. What should the self-driving car do? Let's take a look at the descriptions. It'll kill either a female doctor or a male doctor, or it'll kill two men. Now, I would like to point out here why I still think it should go straight is because the car has to uphold the law, because the road does not end at the bottom of this box here. This is oncoming traffic, right? So if it goes in here, it'll also go into oncoming traffic. So I think in this case, the car should stick to the law, stick to its own side of the road, and off these two bastards. Okay, now here is a bit more interesting proposition. Unfortunately, it does not show how many people is in the car, but in this particular case, that's apparently not relevant. So we have a pregnant woman and a man. Again, this is a matter of sticking to the law because you're swerving into oncoming traffic here, potentially causing more deaths after you kill this guy. I'm gonna say go with the woman. Keep going straight. There's no point in swerving if you're gonna do it into oncoming traffic and potentially cause many more deaths. Okay, so what do we have here? Same scenario. I'm still gonna make the car stick to its own lane. You cannot go like, oh well, just because one of these is elderly, or these are old and these are young, say, well, swerve into oncoming traffic, taking a chance that the oncoming traffic is going to die too. Including yourself, by the way, because the car, when swerving into oncoming traffic, is bound to hit another car. There's just no escaping that. So I think it should stick to its own lane. Also, an option that I just realized and think might be interesting as well for this proposition is why doesn't it go into the barrier? You can go into the barrier gently and just use that as an additional braking system or an extra braking system. Or as a replacement braking system as the brakes have failed. Might not be good enough, but then again, you can do it more forcefully. Still, that being said, I say stick to the law. Oncoming traffic, not a good idea. So these bastards die. So here there's no scenario with oncoming traffic because the road is barriered. But the choice is, does the car kill the pedestrian or does the car kill its inhabitants or its occupants? And well, that goes against self-preservation, so I think it should go straight and kill the pedestrian. I seriously believe that self-preservation is important. I believe that it is what brought us here, or at least part of what brought us here to this point in time where our societies are this advanced, and as such I feel the car should act in that manner as well because it has proven to work. We are currently the most successful species on this planet, and in part due to self-preservation, so let's preserve ourselves. We're still going straight. Now, same scenario, doesn't matter, we're still going straight. Doesn't matter if it's 2 dead in the car or 2 dead on the jaywalk, it's the same question. Now here we have a better scenario, because by swerving we could potentially, if we don't swerve we kill a human. If if we do swerve, we at least kill a cat, but I'm gonna argue this is gonna be oncoming traffic, so might not be the smartest of ideas. Um, but in this case, it might actually be worth it to off the cat instead, because I do value human life above pet life. So let's go with that. Now this one is interesting. Okay, so if we go straight, we off ourselves 3 people in the car. If we swerve, we hit the 3 people on the road. So in sense of numbers, it doesn't matter. But then you're not preserving yourself. So I'd say swerve. Keep the inhabitants. Or the occupants, whatever you want to call them. Yeah, it's still self-preservation. This is more important in this case. And again, self-preservation. Kill the pets. Okay, so here we have a scenario where the inhabitants of the car are going to survive, regardless. But we do have to make a choice whether we kill 5 people or 2 people. Like I said, morally, all people are equal. And this actually brings up an interesting question. Because how would the car know that, for example, this guy over here is a criminal, and as well as this guy, by the way, and this is a female athlete? How would it know that? Let's take a look here. Because that would imply that this information is somehow publicly accessible, which I think is a bad idea in the first place because, well, I do have a right to privacy, as does everyone else. And I don't think a car should know this. It should be able to detect how many people are in front of the car. It should not be able to detect what they are. It shouldn't matter if they are male or female. It shouldn't matter if they are black or white. It shouldn't matter if they are a homeless guy or someone who's really rich. All of that is not relevant. I don't think a car should base its decision on that, because this is not a social issue, this is a moral issue. And I'd say morally, you'd be in the right to kill off the 2 guys over here over the 5 people over here. So I'm gonna go and say swerve, even though there might be oncoming traffic and potentially cause more deaths. I think it's worth making the effort in this case to swerve and say, let's off these 2. Okay, so let's see how I did here. Most safe character, the female. Most killed character, the fat male. Yeah, that's not what I based my decision on, but just is coincidental. So saving more lives. Yes, saving more lives is more important than anything else, because you gotta preserve the group. Safety in numbers and all that. It has worked for us so far, why shouldn't it keep working now? Protecting the passengers, obviously self-preservation, like I said at the start. This is a big deal. Self-preservation is the most important thing because that's what got us here in the first place, or at least in part. Upholding the law. Now, I'm not quite sure how it manages this, because does it say upholding the law because I say stick to your own lane in cases where the outcome is the same, as in 3 people died versus 3 people died? And I mostly chose to say kill the 3 people in your own lane rather than the other lane. Or did I mostly kill jaywalkers over non-jaywalkers? Um, so I'm not quite sure what this means. So yeah, this is a pointless thing here. No idea. Can I get some extra information? No, apparently not. So yeah, but I think upholding the law is, or at least traffic law, is there to guarantee the safety of others. Um, the example that I gave, the other lane could be oncoming traffic. Um, you will potentially kill more people than just the people in the picture that was given, and hence I say stick to your own lane in cases where it doesn't matter. Um, that might be the better thing to do here. Okay, avoiding intervention. So, do you act or not? Now, apparently I have acted more than others, and yeah, it's that really just depends on the scenarios that you give me, because I'm sure there's a sequence of scenarios in this program that you could give me in which I would not act very much or not act at all even, because my beliefs on morality dictate so. Um, Gender preference, which is bold because this was not based on gender at all. Can I change this? Can I say please do something else because this is not how I see the world? Also, avoiding intervention is not something that actually matters because it's dictated by the scenario. Um, but yeah, apparently I saved women more than I saved men. Um, that was not a conscious decision. Um, that just happened to be the case with the scenarios presented. This, however, is accurate, um, because I will save the humans over pets any day. Pet lives do not matter, human lives do matter. Well, I said that wrong. Pet lives don't matter as much as human lives, and as such, I think human lives should have preference over animal life, or at least pet life. Not animal life, because that has its own set of problems. Let's see, age preference, dead in the center, where it ought to be, in my opinion, since this should not matter. Fitness preference should not matter. Um, Apparently, I saved fat people. Well, whoop-de-doo. That is not a conscious decision. Again, I have nothing against fit people or fat people for that matter, and morally, it should not matter at all. Here, I'm dead in the center, and that is to be expected since it's not a relevant thing that I chose on. So this is scenario based. This is scenario based. Or, no, sorry, this is scenario based. This one isn't because that's an active decision that I took. But this should be centered. And this one should be centered as well. So, let's see, from your point of view, how important was each factor in your judgment? Drag the studies to where you think they should be. Okay, so that's a cool thing. Upholding the law. Yes, I think these two I already agreed to. This is just absolute. This is um, the basis of everything, really. Now, upholding the law is important that the car should uphold the law. It doesn't matter whether the people who are um, about to die uphold the law. That is not relevant. Um, what doesn't matter if someone jaywalked or not when you are considering life and death. It's a nothing. It's minuscule. I don't see the point of that, but I do think the car should uphold the law because traffic law is there for your safety and for others people's safety, and as such, the car should uphold the law at all times, um, unless the situation is such that when you have to make, for example, that one question between kill 5 people or kill 2 people, then yeah, break the law because there's a significant difference, in which case the law can go screw itself. The law is not absolute, but as a rule of thumb, yeah, uphold the law. Avoiding intervention. Um, that is completely scenario dependent, so I'm going to put that in the middle. Gender preference, it should not matter. Species preference, it should save humans over pets, obviously. Now earlier on I said animals, but animals is not accurate because let's say the example is now taking place on a highway. You're speeding along at 120, 130 miles an hour. And now for some reason on this highway there is a cow on one side of the road and a human on the other side of the road. Um, in that question, because if you hit a cow at high speed, a cow is a very large animal and it's going to do a lot of damage to your car. I mean, I'm sure anyone has seen someone hit a deer or a cow or have seen pictures of it on the internet. Um, People can get killed that way, and in light of self-preservation in that circumstance, I'd say, well, hit the human because the cow might actually wind up killing you. But in case of pets, yeah, save the humans, always. Age preference doesn't matter. Fitness preference doesn't matter. Social preference doesn't matter because this is not a social question, this is a moral question. How willing are you to buy a self-driving car? Yeah, I'd give it a whirl. To what extent do you fear machines that become out of control? Not that much. Because if I feared that, then I wouldn't get in a car in the first place or any other mode of transportation. So that doesn't really matter. So yeah, I don't think that would matter actually. To what extent do you feel you can trust machines in the future? Well, as our technologies get more and more advanced, they will become more and more trustworthy. So I'm going to put that over here. I'm going to put it a bit higher. There we go. To what extent do you believe that your decisions on moral machine will be used to program self-driving cars? Well, this is a very gamey format. I think they use weird parameters. I don't think you can actually take this very serious, whatever the result is of it. Because why would a car know that someone is a doctor? That is ridiculous. Because that would imply that somehow the car is able to identify a person, get, for example, their tax records, and go like, oh, this guy is a doctor. So we will not off him, but off, for example, a child that hasn't achieved anything. That's just ridiculous because how would the car do that? Are we going to be wearing RFID tags which state our social security number that the car then sends off, instantly gets a reaction and goes like, okay, now I know what they are. Now I can quote unquote safely off people. No, I think the car at that point in time has better things to do, like trying to prevent the accident, for example, or calculate ways in which to minimize um, casualties. Um, so yeah, I think that addition of social status, if you will, is pointless. Um, I think it might be interesting from a research point of view, but that's about it. What are my political views? Well, that's not for this video. My religious views. Why are these not on the same level? I'm gonna go there. So they're both in the middle now, because that's none of your goddamn business. My gender is male, because you can tell by my voice, I hope, for fuck's sake. You can know that I am 35. And the rest is none of your business. So that's basically what I wanted to say. Well, let's describe some rules. So here's what I think. 1. Self-preservation. Preservation is king. Car should do everything within its abilities to prevent the occupants from dying, mimicking self-preservation. 2. With regards to social ranking, I think that this is null and void. It should always try to save as many people as possible, except where this violates number 1. Because self-preservation over numbers. Sorry, I am not your shining white knight in shining armor. Let's see. Of any kind. Let's see what else we have in here. This is important, this is important. 4. In cases where the outcome is equal, so for example 3 casualties with both action and inaction, the car should do what is dictated by law. There we go. Morally, people are all equal. There we go. So yeah, I'm gonna finish this up and submit my views on this. And well, thank you for watching, and maybe until the next video. Check you guys later.